كم شهر ما شاء الله عليك. كان كثير.
السلام عليكم. دكتور محمد سمعني.
ايوه
ابو محمد سمعنا الدكتور كمال.
ايوه سامع.
جميل جدا. طيب نبدا على طول، معلش تاخرنا شوي لكن التكنيكال ايشوز دائما هي تكون حاضره يعني. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاه والسلام على اشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد عليه افضل الصلاه واتم التسليم. اهلا وسهلا بالحضور الكريم في هذه المناقشه العلميه الرصينه لمناقشه رساله اطروحه الماجستير لطالبنا العزيز عبد الله محمد عطية الرحيم. طبعا بعض الكلمات باللغه العربيه ثم نبدا ان شاء الله باللغه الانجليزيه. يسعدني بدءا ان ارحب بزميلي العزيزين المناقشين في هذه رساله الماجستير، اخي العزيز الدكتور جابر ابو شاويش والدكتور كمال مرتجى، ونرحب بطالبنا العزيز عطية محمد عبد الله محمد عطية عبد الرحيم، بطل ونجم هذه المناقشه العلميه. طبعا لا يفوتني ان ارحب بزميلي العزيز واخي الفاضل الدكتور محمد عطية عبد الرحيم. انا سعيد بوجودك معنا وتشريفك لنا في هذه المناقشه العلمية. It is my greatest delight and pleasure to hold this viva for my distinguished student Abdullah Muhammad Abdi Abdul Rahim to examine his master's thesis titled American News Media Coverage of the May 2021 Israeli Aggression on Gaza and the Russian-Ukrainian Conflict, a critical discourse analysis. And I'm really delighted to have the pleasure of having two of my distinguished colleagues, Dr. Kamal مرتجى as an internal examiner, and Dr. Jabir Abu Shawish, the external examiner of this thesis. This is a very important topic, a very important thesis that I commend Abdullah for choosing and working on over the past probably 2 years or so. It's a long time, but it's finally coming, with a wonderful result. Alhamdulillah. He chose a very really important topic, and it is quite important given the circumstances that we've been living in over the past 630 days, as it addresses media discourse, so newspapers discourse and its relation to power and ideology and representation, of course, discourse analysis or critical discourse analysis. Of course, we know that news media is not disconnected from the social, political, and cultural and ideological contexts and climates or environments in which they operate. Because journalists, reporters do not operate in a vacuum. They operate within a cultural and political and ideological context. And therefore, their representations, I would say representations, not coverage or not true depiction of reality, but their representation, their versions of reality is colored, is impacted by the institutions in which they work in, by the cultural and political context and ideological context in the world. And that's why we see sometimes we have the same reality, but how it is rendered differs from one media organization to another. The way the New York Times, for example, covers a particular situation or event in Gaza differs from the way Al Jazeera reports the same events. And this is important to bear in mind all the time, so that when we approach any media coverage, any news coverage, we have to have this critical lens. We have to have a critical understanding of why and how media reporters report in particular events. Abdullah's thesis really hits the nail in this particular respect, as he addresses how two American newspapers, the Washington Post and the New York Post, covered two important events, political events. One in Gaza, or the Israeli aggression on Gaza, and the other one is the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. And he meticulously went into minute details, into looking at the linguistic mechanisms, the discursive structures that were part and parcel of this media coverage of the two news. I am delighted to that Abdullah reached a final milestone in this writing of the thesis, and today we are examining his thesis. And I wish him all the very, very best, especially with the presence of Duma or my distinguished colleagues, Dr. Jabir and Dr. Kemmal مرتجى. So I'd like to give the chance to Abdullah to give us a quick overview of his thesis, and then we'll open the floor to our colleagues to give their comments on your thesis. Abdullah, the floor is yours within the space of 5 minutes, inshallah. Thank you.
First, I would like to express my gratitude to my supervisor, Dr. Mashir Amir, who never said no, and never said he was too busy despite all the difficulties, circumstances, and his displacement. He remained always available and supportive. I also sincerely thank Dr. Jabir and Shaawish, who kindly came in person to attend this event, even though transportation was difficult and dangerous.
You deserve.
Thank you for Dr. Kemmal مرتجى. My thanks as well to Dr. Kemmal مرتجى, who, despite the internet and communication challenges, was fully present and engaged throughout. First of all, the title of this thesis is American newspapers' coverage of the October 2023 Israeli aggression on Gaza and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict and critical discourse on this news. The study aims to examine how two major American
depth at presenting your thesis and overview of your thesis. And I would like to open the floor for, as the protocol goes, to our external examiner, and he's not really external, يعني الدكتور جابر من أهل البيت وهو زميل وفاضل وزميل عطية في السمنان باسم اللغة الإنجليزية. So I would like to open the floor for Dr. Jabir to give us his comments. Of course, Dr. Abu Jabir doesn't need the introductions. He's a distinguished colleague in an associate professor of TESOL and linguistics, and he has published extensively in the area, and also is well known for his distinguished supervision aptitude. I would like to give him the floor within the space for 20 minutes to give us his useful comments on Abdullah's thesis. The floor is yours.
Do you think 20 minutes is enough to say what
you decide?
Okay,
Within the space.
Thank you.
More or less.
20 minutes هذه
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله ومن والاه. بداية حمدا لله على سلامتكم جميعا، وآمل من الله أن تنتهي هذه الحرب ونرجع إلى سالف عهدنا، نلتقي في رحاب الجامعة الإسلامية، الصرح الرائع الذي يعني له باع طويل في مجال العلم ومجال البحث العلمي. مرحبا بكم. طبعا بداية يسعدني أن أكون في هذه المناقشة. أشكر صديقي وأخي الدكتور مشير، كذلك أتشرف أن أكون برفقة زميلي الدكتور كمال مرتجى. أشكر الطالب عبد الله عبد الرحيم على جهده الطيب، يعني وكذلك أنا ممتن جدا وسعيد جدا لحضور الأخ الدكتور أستاذي، وأنا أعتز بالدكتور محمد عطية عبد الرحيم. وكذلك لا يفوتني أن أتقدم بالشكر الجزيل للجامعة الإسلامية لما يعني تقدم من أفكار نيرة في جميع المجالات. أبدأ مناقشتي إن شاء الله. أولاً يعني عبد الله، يعني I'd like you first to calm down. Yeah, seems you are and you have a smiling face, alhamdulillah. So that's a good start for our discussion, inshallah. Sure, within this discussion, I expect you to give like good and very precise answers for my questions, and of course to do all the assigned modifications that I told you here. So let us start to reflect on your thesis. So first of all, tell us why did you select these two American newspapers in particular? Why not other American mass media?
Okay, first of all, for reasons. The first one, because they give you free access. You can go access to these two newspapers with no payments. I tried with Wall Street Journal, and they asked me to pay $20 for a month, and I need 6 months to live them. That means a lot of amount a month. This is the best one. At some point, I go beyond some specialized websites, which gives you information about every single website everywhere. And regarding to this website, I asked again, what is the most prominent websites, newspapers from America? They collect about 10. And Washington Post and New York Post was the third and fourth, but 1 and 2 asked me for 8 months.
Fine. Connected to this question, what if you, for example, made a comparison between one of the American newspapers and, for example, other newspapers supporting, for example, the Palestinian cause?
This is one theory you can do, but this is not my topic. I'm concentrating on the American. This is another approach, another thesis, another title. What you can do? For me, I choose to shed a light on American news media because American news media is the source of information all around the world. You can say that Arabic televisions all the time, especially just here says ABA, Washington Post, this media sense. So you can infer that American media is the main resources for all the Arabic and the world.
Great, and you just chose like the headlines, or you just carried out your study on the headlines in these two newspapers. So why not, for example, didn't you go for extracts from lead stories, feature stories, or editorials from these two papers? Why exactly the headline?
This is one of the basic limitations. I was between two choices. One to take at most 10 texts, 10 news stories, and to take 5,000 headlines. I choose to take 5,000 headlines because the more your sampling is, the more your valid your results. The second reason is that the headlines itself contains the main things. So from the headlines you can know what will be in the text.
Yeah. Okay. So So
The
headlines,
headline summarizes the text.
headlines, yeah, can be mirrored for the whole
That's
story.
right. The other reasons, as I said, I choose to enlarge my sample.
Right. And regarding your work, do you feel that you met the objective of the study? To what extent and why do you say what you say?
Again, please.
Do you feel you met the objectives of the study? To what extent?
I believe that I did it at least 90%. At least, because I go through one by one and answer in the, you can see in the discussion in the last chapter, I take the question one by one, and in the analysis chapter, I take the one by one questions one by one and analyze it one by one. In the discussion, I put it one by one and answer it by one. So the objectives is achieved here.
Yeah.
Are achieved.
So from your answer, I can see that you are satisfied with what you have done right now. So, and if you have been given the chance once more to carry out the same study, what modifications or changes are you going to have over it?
I will at least take an example of the whole text. I will enlarge it to take, okay, I got 5,000 headlines, but why didn't I enlarge it to take two texts as examples? My coach said we have the attacking of infrastructure from Israel and Russia. I can give a deep look how they dealt with both texts. I would enlarge it by adding more text.
Oh, wonderful. So thank you very much for answering the questions and specifically. And right now, I'd like you here. Yeah. No need, just. Okay. I have some general comments and other specific ones. There are points of strengths on your side and other points for consideration. I wouldn't say errors or points for consideration. So in addition to specific comments and remarks, which you will find throughout the pages of the script. Speaking generally, the points of strengths which I start with, I can say that the current script makes like, a masterpiece. Actually, I loved, the choice of the title. I loved the way you handled the topic. I loved the language you used throughout the different pages of your work. So it seems that your title is catchy and addresses the status quo in Palestine. So your choice of the title is successful. I'm sure this is the fruit of the effort of both your outstanding supervisor and the hardworking student. The language you are using is pure academic, despite the fact that there are some fallacies here and there. The approach and the method used suit the nature of the current study. The content of the script go in line with the title. The discussion you have done is comprehensive, and the literature review is informative, and actually I made use of all these things, and actually I got benefit. To mention but few. So those are some of the very general things which I quote from, my meticulous reading of your thesis. Now, as for things for consideration, I will go over them like, in hurry, just to buy the time. And we will go for some instances through the different pages of the study. So things for consideration, I'd like you to reconsider the writing mechanics sometimes. Sometimes the punctuation marks are improperly used, and I have quoted some, some instances on page, particularly on page 108, and there are many others. Okay, we will go there. There are also capitalization errors. So sometimes no capitals are required, but you use them, and sometimes a capital is required but not used. There is overuse of the bold font. Yeah. As for grammar points for consideration, there are many instances of fragments, particularly in the preliminary pages, and even, I guess, in chapter 4. There are also verb-subject agreement errors, which flew on the surface somewhere in your script. There are also some instances of tense shift, faulty pronoun reference, incomplete sentences, particularly in chapter 4, lengthy sentences, particularly on page 112. On the discourse level, sometimes, particularly cohesion and coherence, sometimes I felt that there is no smooth transition among the different sections of your script, particularly in chapter 2. As for some stylistic fallacies, sometimes I caught that there are some instances of inconsistency in using some terms referring to some events or some particular terminology, like, for example, United States of America. You refer to it sometimes US, sometimes America, sometimes United States, etc. So being specific is so important. Because we know, everybody knows that the United States is the United States of America. But in academic work, you have to be precise and specific. And you unify, the terminology. The same for the use of the word war, referring to Gaza war. Sometimes you say aggression, sometimes you say aggressive assaults. So cope to one of those very representative terminology.
Well, now they're talking about genocide. Yeah. It's not just a war or an aggression. It's genocide. It is genocide. Like from a legalistic point of view, I mean, everybody talks about Gaza as a genocide. It's not just like one military escalation after another. Yeah, it's a full-fledged genocide. Yes,
sure. So I'm talking particularly about unifying the terms. Yeah. Why? Because it's clear in my mind and in your mind and his mind, but it maybe not so clear in the mind of your readers. Your audience are sometimes will be sometimes confused. Yeah.
Incidents.
Sure.
So I shall unify it to see them and like one.
That's right. Yeah, the previous studies, I always prefer merging them in the theoretical framework, and I prefer to have commentary, independent commentary on the previous studies. So it is not observed that there is commentary. I also quote the overuse of the conjunction thus, which is sometimes improperly used, and I can refer with you to some instances. Some other stylistic fallacies, verbosity. This is the term which I learned from my colleague, Dr. محمد. Verbosity, you are using a lot of words, but you can talk about the event or the thing in particular in a few words. I've caught like instances on page 106 and others. Abdullah, I also caught like some cultural transfer errors. Like, for example, you mentioned about 146 items. So are they about or are they exactly 146? This is an Arabic, like, Arabic transfer, or Arabic translation. يعني تقريبا 146. لا هي exactly 146, not about.
I tend to use the he learned us to not use words like yes, exactly, all the time.
But you are
in the space.
You are
in this point, I shall.
You are using 146. So this is a very specific.
Okay, this is information rather than the.
But if you say 150, yeah, about 150. So it is approximation there. What else? Yeah. Also, one of the cultural transfer errors I quote also is a couple of times or 3 times on page 102 and other pages, you mentioned or you said 10 headlines. This is a translation from عشرات العناوين, 10 headlines. Now, of course, in the English context, they say dozens of headlines, but not tens. They don't use tens. Fine, this is an Arabic translation. This is actually in general. Those are things to consider in general. And there are things in specific. So if I'd like to, if I have enough time, yeah. So let us go, yeah, to chapters 1 and 2 to choose some pages. I will go here with you. Your script, yeah. Right. Page number 1, or in the abstract. Yeah. I need you to reconsider the 8th of October, the Arabic abstract. Yeah, in the English abstract, it is the 7th of October. But here it is the 8th of October. Reconsider this, please. Line 4. Yeah, as for the epigraph, Dr. Mashir, can you read? It is a holy Quranic verse, but can you read it?
No.
It's not clear.
It's not clear.
Is it written in Arabic?
It's just a picture.
You know, this is a holy Quranic verse. You started with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and hence it is a holy Quranic verse. It should be so clear. Should be so clear. Fine? Yeah.
Looks like Persian.
Yeah.
Pharisee, or Pharisees. Yeah.
Here in the dedication, there is like, I guess there is unnecessary repetition because you are mentioning both of your mom and dad here, to then to my father who taught me more than he realizes, to my mother, so to my parents who, or without to my parents, to my father who, or and to my mother. So you are repeating. Repetition here sometimes makes a kind of redundancy. You agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I will go to page 1, chapter 1. Yeah, page 1. So the first paragraph, the very beginning of the introduction, the overview. So you quoted from Turing and Herman and Chomsky, but generally, when you start your introduction and overview,
Shall I see what you're being?
you have to. You have to. In one or a couple of paragraphs, you start with your own thoughts, your own ideas, and mashallah, yani you are a thoughtful person. So you can. Why to quote from here and there? Why to cite from here and there at the very beginning of your study? Fine? Yeah, I also see that you are referring to old references, like Hal and others. I don't know what's the justification for this.
Which page?
The same page you refer to Hal 1980. It is how many years? It is 45 years.
Okay, because all the other researchers talk from him. So let's get back to other researchers, all of them say Hal. So I go back to Hal.
Yeah.
Because there is no new source.
So because it is
The basic
primary.
It's not like when you are saying about talking about Fairclough. Any other person will refer to Fairclough.
Yeah.
So we should go back to Fairclough. He's the model.
Okay. A primary resource. On page 2. Okay. As I mentioned, there are sometimes fallacies, punctuation errors. As in the first paragraph, the paragraph does not end with any punctuation mark. Yeah. The same as for the use of the bold font here, the bold type. Yeah. Only here. Okay. On the next page, paragraph number 2. Yeah, paragraph number 2, which starts with G 004, line 4.
Paragraph number 2, page 2.
Page 3. Sorry, page 3. Yeah. So you cite from Van Dyke, right?
Yes.
When we cite, we do not use the initials.
I noticed this.
Many times. So you have to go over.
Especially within Van Dyke. Because I wrote the reference twice.
Right.
And not make mistakes. This is my problem. I know it. I know something.
Okay. Here there is a kind of verbosity on paragraph 2 or 3. Sure. Yeah. So I'm just here giving you some instances of what I have just mentioned. So you mentioned semiology was defined by the Swiss linguist.
I need here to say when
you need the year of publication, and you need to link this with the previous sentence. Okay, and why the use of the passive was so? So I made a suggestion here. I'm not sure whether you agree with me or not. Okay.
I wrote here that.
Okay. 5 minutes. Okay. I will. I also noticed that you are overusing is defined as. So, for example, the previous paragraph you used was defined by, is defined as. So aren't the like here we ask you to make like you know, change here. You use like different styles. So feel free.
The chapters were more aggressive rather than the first ones because the development.
Fine. So here you will have the script here, and feel free to modify them. Right. On the next page, page 4. Yeah. Paragraph 2.
The medium by which.
Yeah, so the second sentence, likewise, the individual's academic level and the time and the place of so and so and so. Yeah, that is one thing. And do you want here to say something? Do you have something in your mind and you'd like to say it to the reader?
I would like to say there is variance or there is variance.
Yeah. Do you want to say to your reader, you are talking about the locutionary, and perlocutionary?
Yes, some.
So go for it, because your audience are aware of these things. They are, mature enough to.
Yes.
Yeah. So instead of using very simple language here, okay. Here is another instance of a fragment. I will skip this. Right. Next page, 5, paragraph 2.
So here is another form of.
The American media are one of the greatest, if it is not the utmost media empires around the world. They dominate the most, etc.
Okay.
So what I actually quote here. So I totally agree with what you say. But do you think Americans' domination of the international media is the main source of power? I mean, Arabs have different media, such as Al Jazeera and many other media. So, which is one of the powerful television channels worldwide. And still the Arab voice is fading. So how will you elaborate on this and make it clear to your audience?
What's the best of the best of the and in most cases they are American. So you are moving back to the America.
Yeah.
So America, even in Jazeera, they take their news from America. There's no story. Media is the empire. And if we have as part of the empire, this empire, we will have other things like weapons. But there is no difference between weapons and words. America has both weapons and words. We have nothing. Even in Jazeera stuff.
At the beginning, I said I agree totally with what you say here. However, in the minds of your audience and in our culture, Al Jazeera is supporting the Palestinian cause. Al Jazeera.
Do you agree with that? Al Jazeera is supporting the Palestinian?
Of course not. But culturally speaking. So I'd like you to clarify this. Yeah, just to make a link. Yeah. Page 6. Yeah, here is another example of verbosity, and yeah. Fine. Okay.
To go over your comments.
Okay, so yeah, we need you. On page 8, yeah, I'd like you to include the rationale of your study. Why are you carrying this study? So actually, you have a strong reason to carry out this, but this should be clear for your audience. Why? Fine. So under rationale of the study, in chapter. In the literature review, as I mentioned, you need to reconsider some paragraphs, to link some paragraphs together, to use transitional paragraphs among the different sections, not just to have like a frog leap, technique. Okay, so jumping from a topic to another without no transition. In chapter 3, mainly, there is actually overlap here with a theoretical framework. Is it a theoretical framework for the whole study or for your study instrument? It is for the study instrument.
Yes, this is a solution.
So the reader will get confused, because here, first you need to talk about the method or the approach you are using. Then you talk about the precise things, or the because you are starting with theoretical framework. I myself got confused. So coming back to the theoretical framework again, theoretical framework should be in chapter 2, not in chapter 3. But when I read, I knew that you are talking about Frank-Claude's model.
So it's an analytical framework.
Okay. I also would like you to add to this chapter the corpus and the sample. Yeah. So how many titles? How many newspapers you selected? Why you have selected them? How many headlines have you chosen? Why? How did you choose them? Randomly, purposively? So we'd like to see this very clearly in chapter 3. In chapter 4, really, I don't have much comments, but just linking the paragraphs and the sections together. Yeah. So actually, a final word. Can I? Yeah, a final word. Abdullah, thank you very much for being patient, for being attentive and polite. And actually, really, I love the topic you are tackling. Actually, it added a lot to my knowledge. And whatever comments and remarks I had in this script is a solid proof that you did work hard. And I got interested in reading your script. I really read it meticulously, a word by word and a sentence by a sentence. And my comments really refine the script and add to it, and do not belittle your hard work, neither they aim to let you down. So head up, and thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jabir, for your thoughtful comments and for your meticulous reading of the script as I look at your comments here on the text of this thesis. I see that you have actually devoted quite a lot of time going through each and every sentence, and therefore I would like you, Abdullah, to take consideration of all the comments that Dr. Jabir highlighted, and the ones that he did not highlight, but basically, please do consider them as you revisit your work. And now we would like to invite Dr. Kamal to give us his comments. Our dear colleague Kamal is great and respectful colleague and brother in the English department, associate professor of English language teaching. And he has supervised and examined numerous theses in the area of linguistics and English language teaching. And it is my great pleasure to have him here today with us, giving us his feedback and his comments on Abdullah's thesis. So welcome, sir. And please give us your comments on the thesis. والله يعطيك ألف عافية. Within the space of 20 minutes. أنا عارف 20 دقيقة بتمد يعني، بس عشان هيك بنقول إحنا 20 دقيقة يعني. يعطيكم العافية. تفضل دكتور.
It's my pleasure to be here in this discussion. It's my pleasure to be here in this committee with my colleagues, Professor Mashir Amir, Dr. Jabir Abu Shaawish, and my best brother, Dr. Muhammad Abdul-Rahim. And of course, I would like to welcome our student researcher this session, inshallah. In fact, it's my pleasure to be in the of the topic of discussing. The topic is really interesting, very, very interesting, and I really like it because it's related to our issue. It's related to our problem in general, the problem we suffer from. As Palestinians, yes, we don't have a very we don't have millions of dollars to make movies, Hollywood movies, to persuade the world, but we are good researchers. We can speak out. We can convince the world of our problem. And this research is really a very beautiful way to convince the world, to tell them that we are the victims, not the victimizers. So this is an interesting topic. Mr. Abdul-Rahim, I'll try to go to specific points in this research. It's really wonderful. You did a good job, but there are certain points I'd like to focus on. If you look with me at the table of contents, are you following me?
Yes, yes.
The table of contents, chapter 1. Chapter 1, I hope you write the title, Introduction.
Yes.
Okay.
Introduction.
Page number 2.
Page number 4.
Now page number 2.
Okay. Page number 4.
Number 2. Yeah, Ustaz Abdullah. You have a quotation.
Yes, quotation.
Sometimes I realize sometimes your quotations are in bold fonts and sometimes in italics.
Yes.
And
so what is right to be italic and bold?
Well, in fact, the ABA style doesn't accept both.
Doesn't accept bold.
Italics and you don't need a bold font. So please try to avoid this.
Okay, again, please. Shall I remove bold and stay with italic when quotations?
Yes.
When I quote. Thank you. Okay, I will reconsider it.
Okay, the second point is we have two types of quotations, short and long. Do you know how we distinguish between them?
Again, the question. We have two types of
quotations.
Quotations, yes. The short one, one consists of 40 words or less. And the other one is longer than 40 words. I believe if it is longer than 40 words, we need to put it in the middle of the page and it will be bold and yes, centralized, yes.
Block quotation, that's good. Now your quotation in page number 2 is long, not short.
Yes, that's right.
So the form...
I will centralize it, inshallah.
That's good, that's good. If you move down to the next paragraph,
yes,
you wrote
media
in the middle of the paragraph, this model saw. This model saw.
Yes, this model saw media as a form of communication.
Well, in fact, it's not recommended to use such verbs to inanimate.
You mean so? You mean the verb so?
Yes, the verb so. It's better to be for animates, not inanimates.
That's right.
And this is the expression.
Even metaphorically, we cannot use it metaphorically.
Well,
I just asked.
If you avoid this, it's much better.
Informal. Okay. I will reconsider it. Thank you, Doctor.
And also the past. I don't recommend using the past symbol. Keep using the present.
Past symbol. Okay.
Keep using the present.
Shall I use present symbol?
Yes, the present is much better.
Okay, present symbol.
Page number 3.
Page number 3. Okay.
Paragraph 3.
1, 2, 3. Highness?
Yes, highness. Line number 5. You have two sources.
Yes, this is so. And then again, I believe the reference here or the citation is not right. I need to complete it. I forget to write the year.
Well, you have the year. No,
I'm talking about Freedom Discourse.
Why Ingestrom? Do you see this? Why Ingestrom? 1987, and then why Ingestrom 1990? Why do you repeat the name?
So,
why do you repeat the name?
Please repeat the question, please.
Why do you repeat the name of the author? Yes.
The name of the author, do you mean? This
why
is
do you repeat
mistakenly. This happened mistakenly. I will reconsider it.
And also, why do you have the initial Y? The initial
Y, you know, Doctor, I use a program which is called EndNote. This EndNote has some limitations. I recognize these limitations after delivering the thesis. And when we reconsidering it, this is a problem. I know from your previous discussion with my colleagues, I knew it, and I will inshallah correct it.
Inshallah. Last paragraph in this page. You have
the material aspect.
Yes, you have G 2004. You have this source twice in the paragraph. Why do you repeat it?
Twice, yes, I mentioned it twice. Shall I remove the first one? Yes, I will remove the first one.
Within, Mr. Abdullah, within the same paragraph, it's not good to repeat the source. But if you move to another paragraph and you are still taking from the same source, you can repeat it. You can mention it again, but within the same paragraph, it's not good to repeat it. You can state he adds, G adds, and so on.
Inshallah. Thank you, Doctor. Okay.
Inshallah. Page number 4.
Yes.
As my colleague, Dr. Jabir, told you about the inconsistency of verb tenses. sometimes you have the present, sometimes you have the past.
I will focus on the
second,
present, inshallah, present.
yes,
Page 7.
the second paragraph, line number
Yes.
4, the same sentence Dr. Abu Shawish referred to. Line number 3, the place the word was. I think
Okay.
was is a problem here.
Inshallah.
Okay. Let's move forward. Your problem, page 6, is very clear and
Page
very
6.
interesting.
Okay.
Yes, yes, the media portray us as victimizers and the other side as the victims. And this is a problem that we need to tell the world about. So really, this is very, very interesting. And this is our role as educated people to convince the world that we are not like that.
Okay.
Mr. Abdullah, if you look at the subtitles, page 7.
Page 7.
Yes.
Objectives of the study.
Objectives and research questions.
Questions.
What if you leave one line before each subtitle?
One line between each subtitle.
Yes, one line before each subtitle. It will be very clear to the reader.
Okay.
So try to...
Double space, do you mean double space?
Yes, just one line. You leave one line before any title.
Shall I do it for this section or for the whole thesis?
All the research.
All the
Because
thesis, okay.
your subtitles are hidden inside. They are not clear.
I got it. I shall add another line between the headlines, subtitles, between the subtitles. Okay.
Okay, page number 9.
Number 9.
Paragraph 3.
Paragraph 3.
The limitations.
Limitations. The study focuses.
Yes. You have 2 short paragraphs, and both of them are about the limitations. So why don't you make them one paragraph?
One paragraph. Okay.
If you move to the last paragraph or last 4 lines.
Definition, critical discourse analysis.
Yes, in the definitions for class 1995, A, page 133.
Yes.
Now, why do you have the page number here?
Because I quote it like it, the same
But
words.
quotation.
I add nothing.
Where is the quotation?
I shall add quotations. I thought that if I mention the page of the number, it is enough to say this is a quotation. I thought that.
No, this is not true. Be careful. The quotation, if it is short, it needs quotation marks. And if it is long, it is in the center of the lines, in the middle of the line. So the form, the shape is important, not only the page number.
Okay, inshallah.
So be careful about the form.
I will, inshallah.
Okay, we'll move forward. Your language is really good. I like it. Your research is wonderful. Yes, you proved, Abdullah, you to be a good researcher.
Thank you, Doctor.
Page 21, Abdullah.
21, okay, I will go through. Just a minute, Doctor. 21. I am in 21 now.
The first paragraph.
Modernly.
You have 2 authors, the same name.
2 authors, yes.
And the same
Toon
name.
Van Dyke. Do you mean Toon Van Dyke and Toon Van Dyke?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
actually here Van Dyke, I shall remove the initial letters, but I believe he uses 2 researches, not 1, 2 papers for Van Dyke, and in both in the same year.
2 papers.
But I need to remove the initial letters.
No, not the initials, because you have 2 authors similar in the name.
Van Dyke and Van Dyke.
Yes,
there are the same person, Van Dyke and Van Dyke. But
the same person, but you have another author with the same family name.
Yes.
How to distinguish between them? One of
adding the
them-
initial letter for one of them.
One of them is different in the middle name.
So I will add more. I will add the initial, the father and the first name.
The first one, listen to me. The first one, T. Van Dyke. The second
Yes.
one, T. A. Van Dyke.
So we have T. Van Dyke and T. A. Van Dyke.
That's right, exactly.
Okay.
Now, since here you have the same author, you don't need to repeat the name. Just between the brackets, you put 1988A, 1988B.
Yes.
So you don't need to repeat the name again.
Okay. I will reconsider it, inshallah.
And you have also the same name for the third time at the end of the paragraph.
You are right.
Okay. Now the last paragraph. The last paragraph.
The last paragraph. Okay. The last paragraph. Aaron and Jill.
The common element in all of Van Dyke
And
Who's
Bill's
Van Dyke?
classifications.
Who's Van Dyke? We have two.
Ah. Okay. I will clear this point.
Okay. Page 28,
28.
you have a quotation. It's both
Okay.
in bold and italics.
I shall remove bold, but leave italic.
No, why to leave italics? We said you don't need both.
Both of them.
Yes,
Okay.
quotations do not need bold
Okay.
or italics. Just
Okay.
you need to add the page number.
The page number.
Yes, there is no quotation without a page number.
Okay.
Page 29, next page.
Yes.
In the second and third paragraphs, you have many repetitions also.
Okay.
What is clear also is the verb tense inconsistency. Look at the second paragraph, the second line, Atafa 2024 conducted. Do you see
I will
that?
merge them in one paragraph, inshallah.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking
Oh.
about verb tense inconsistency.
Verb tense. Okay.
Atafa 2024 conducted. You are using the past. Now, if you move just two lines, move two lines.
Yes, yes. Atafa shows.
Atafa shows it's a present.
Yes, yes.
The second paragraph is the same. So be careful about this.
Okay.
The quotation also in this page needs the page number.
Okay.
Next page, you have a quotation in italics without the page number.
30.
Page 30 and 31.
30 and 31.
You have quotations without page numbers.
Okay, Doctor. I
Now,
will reconsider all the quotations, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay. Page 36.
36.
You have at the beginning of the page, you have a
For
quotation.
instance,
Yes, this quotation is more than 40 words. So it should be long, right? Block quotation. Right? Are you following me?
معلش دكتور طفى اللابتوب مع عبد الله يعني دقائق وبكون معك اقل من ان شاء الله.
ان شاء الله ولا عن السريع. ما كانش الا بس واحد مشغول يعني قاعد انا ما خلصنا.
أنا مش هطول إن شاء الله.
خلصت. نعم بهذا نجي يعني
خلاص شغلت هي شغال بس لسه ما ظهرتش.
انا بعت لك يا ريت لو تشوف فين؟
غير مصدق ليش؟ هاي دكتور تفضل يا دكتور انا معاك الان بيج 36.
اوكي احنا وصلنا شابتر 4 the analysis.
شابتر 4 بيج وات دكتور؟ بيج 36
44.
44 okay 44 just a minute دكتور 44.
Okay, in this chapter I don't
page
have
44
any comment.
I am in 44.
I don't have any comment, but I would like to say that your analysis is just like your literature investigation, very comprehensive and very clear. That's wonderful. You did a good job.
Thank you, Doctor.
I remember last discussions of your friend, perhaps, when I talked about the literature investigation, I found only 6 studies summarized. And when I told him this is not enough, his professor said, well, for a master's degree, this is enough, Kamal. I said, no, this is not enough. 6 studies are not enough.
Not enough?
Well, I'm talking about the previous researcher, not you.
The previous studies?
The previous discussions of another student.
So,
I'm not talking about your research. I'm talking about the research that we discussed before, last week. Your research is really good. You summarized many studies. Your analysis.
دكتور لو بس معلش واضح الصوت عندك هيك؟
أنا سامعكم كويس.
الآن الصوت صار كويس.
Now it's good, Doctor.
كويس صوتي؟ سامعيني؟
Yes. Which page, Doctor, now?
Okay. I'm talking about your analysis. I said your analysis. Yes. It's really good and very comprehensive.
Thank you.
Page 115.
What page? Page what?
115.
16. Okay.
115.
Okay. 16.
15.
15. Okay. 50. Okay. 50. معقول ارجع على 50.
You have the subtitle.
Okay.
You have the subtitle 50. Discussion.
Okay, Doctor. 50.
You see discussion? The title discussion, is it clear to you?
The title, Israel Justification for Gaza Crimes.
Page 115, the title discussion.
50 هي العناوين.
Do you hear me?
والله ما نسمع شوي. يلا.
دكتور سمعنا؟
أنا سامعك كويس.
أنا مش
طيب دكتور أنت من الجوال ولا من جهاز بتحكي؟
لا جوال.
من جوال. طب معلش الآن أنا بدي أرن عليك الاتصال على جوال. وتكمل معه على الجوال اتصال أفضل لأنه يبدو النت عندك فيه إشكالية.
ماشي.
كان ماشي زي الحلاوة.
أنا صوتك واضح عندي يعني مش عارف.
خلاص لا هو لا في معنا.
السلام عليكم. تقريبا أنا خلصت يعني ما فيش حاجة ضايل. في الريفرنسز يا أستاذ عبد الله، الريفرنسز لو سألناك الفيرست ريفرنس the first reference الجزيرة, do you see that? the first one. الآن عندك التايتل references يعني very stuck to the first reference. Why don't you put it in the middle? Yes, the title. Yeah, if you put it in the middle and you leave one line below and then you start the first reference. Inshallah. The second source, Amir. Okay. Now, if we ask you, this research was conducted in Australia. How did you get it?
How did I get that references?
Yes.
I found it in the Islamic Library University.
You found it in the Islamic University. So that's good. Okay, that's good. Now, number 4, Bell.
Number 4?
Yes. Bell Allen.
Yes.
Oh, this is a book, right?
Language. Yes, I believe it's a book.
Okay. Now, any book needs the city and the publisher, right? Well, there is no publisher called Oxford.
I believe Oxford University.
Yes, Oxford University Press.
Yes, I will.
Okay, if you move page 123.
23, okay.
المصري. Yes, this is an article from a journal, right?
Yes, journal, yes.
Okay, the journal needs the volume number, the issue number, and the page number.
Especially this journal does not include the volume number or issue number. Some of the magazines do not include their. Thank you.
120 references I counted inside your research. So how many should you have in the references at the end?
At least one in the index citation, I have 120. I shall in the references have 120.
Exactly. Exactly. That's good. But But what happened that I found in the references 132.
32.
Yes. And in the text, as I said, 120. So there is a big difference. I would like you. I would.
Revise it, but I think it's something called bibliography, where we can add some references. We fill it from it, but not directly.
Yes, if you have the title bibliography, but you don't have the title bibliography.
Shall I change it to bibliography?
Yes, if you write bibliography, then you solve the problem.
Okay, I will add bibliography instead of bibliography.
Okay, finished, Mr. Abdullah. Thank you very much and wish you good luck.
Thank you, Doctor. But shall I Dاخليا?
I'll be on the line, yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamal, for your thoughtful comments and very meticulous reading of the thesis, Abdullah. And again, I would like to strongly urge you, Abdullah, to take all Dr. Kamal's comments into consideration as you revisit the work. Clearly, you have done a magnificent job of working on this thesis, and this is demonstrated by your overall argumentation. And I particularly liked the analysis of chapter. It really exhibited and showcased your talent and your scholarship and your analytical aptitude. And I commend you, and I also speak, I think, on behalf of my colleagues in this examination panel. الله يعطيك العافيه دكتور كمال، بارك الله في جهودك وجهود الجميع. الله يحفظكم. لا احنا يعني يمكن عشان الظروف وهذا ما فيش لا حلويات ولا شيء. لا يعني احنا حاليا بس اعتقد انه my colleagues, what do you think, دكتور كمال, دكتور جابر, do you agree to grant the student here master's degree? Yes, يعني دكتور كمال enthusiastically, agree to that.
Emphatically, yes.
Yes, تمام، على بركة الله. الله يبارك فيك.
Congratulations.
الآن نتيجة الحكم على أطروحة ماجستير.
معنا دكتور كمال طبعا.
نعم. تقدر تفوت على شو اسمه؟ تقدر تفوت على الصورة؟ بتنزل الصورة بس هو الصورة دكتور.
وصل ولا لا؟ وصل معه وش يعني؟
المرة اللي فاتت.
عشان الصورة النهائية يعني.
شوي انا بخليك تصورك تسويها.
لا عشان الصورة.
قولوا للنت عندك. النت ضعيف عندنا احنا. الرجال تستخدم اللابتوب وخلاص.
عشان الصورة مع بعض. دكتور كمال موجود؟
ايوه موجود يا دكتور.
موجود معنا دكتور كمال؟
ايوه موجود.
تعال وين كنا وصلنا؟ وين كنا وصلنا؟ الله المستعان.
ايوه استاذ بسام.
دكتور فوت على
البرنامج.
ارجع البرنامج؟
اظهر على البرنامج عادي يا بقيت عشان
طيب ماشي.
طيب ندخل عن اطفي وانت تفوت عليه.
كيف ترجع على البرنامج؟ معاكم.
مش كاميرتي انا.
والله
هم هيك صحيح دعمني لكاميرا المفروض هذا في شاشه.
لا بس الذي تقرا
بس ضروري يعني يكون موجود، ما هو مشاركة ايش يا ابو حمزه يعني هو معنا على الخط خلص يعني اسمع خلص مش مشكله، ما هو يعني سجل اللقاء كله مش مسجل حاليا،
ممكن تقرا الحكم
مسجل
يا
اللقاء خلاص
شوي
خلاص
تمام. تقرا الحكم هالجيت
محطوط انا ميوت هنا ولا شغال الصوت؟ شغال. لا صعب.
جوالا يستخدمون جامعة الطيران.
نتيجة الحكم على أطروحة ماجستير بناء على موافقة عملة البحث العلمي والدراسات العليا بالجامعة الإسلامية بغزة على تشكيل لجنة الحكم على أطروحة الباحث عبد الله محمد عطية عبد الرحيم لنيل درجة الماجستير في كلية الآداب قسم اللسانيات والترجمة لسانيات لغة إنجليزية، وموضوعها تغطية وسائل الإعلام الأمريكية للعدوان الإسرائيلي على غزة في مايو 2021 والصراع الروسي الأوكراني، دراسة في تحليل الخطاب النقدي. American news media coverage of the May 2021 Israeli aggression on Gaza and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, a critical discourse analysis. وبعد المناقشة العلنية التي تمت اليوم الثلاثاء 5 محرم 1447 هجرية الموافق 1/7/2025 ميلادية وقد اجتمعت لجنة الحكم على أطروحة الماجستير والمكونة من الأستاذ الدكتور محمد مشير عبد العزيز عامر مشرفا ورئيسا، الدكتور كمال مرتجى مناقشا داخليا، الدكتور جابر الرحيم أبو شاويش مناقشا خارجيا. وبعد مداولة أوسط اللجنة بمنح الباحث في درجة الماجستير في كلية الآداب قسم اللسانيات والترجمة لسانيات لغة إنجليزية، واللجنة تمنحه هذه الدرجة فإنها توصيه بتوقي الله تعالى ولزوم طاعته وأن يسخر علمه في خدمة دينه ووطنه، والله ولي التوفيق. عميد البحث العلمي والدراسات العليا ألف مبارك، ربنا ينفع فيك ويرفع درجاتك. الله يحفظك.
دكتور محمد، مبروك. دكتور محمد
إن شاء الله.
خلي بالك أي تغيير للعنوان هيؤدي
طبعا
العنوان هذا
الله يعطيكم العافية.
مش رسالة أصلية مش تفضل.
يلا دكتور.
إن شاء الله بكل الإجابة.
الله قال الدكتور نشر عليه على طول تستناش ان شاء الله. يمكن كمان شغله انا بوصيها يعني عشان نروح نخلص ضروري نشكر باحثنا هذا عمل
فيها موجود عندنا وكاتب له في النهايه انه لازم تمشي
كمان صوره ان شاء الله.
بس الصورة الأولانية بقى صور جيد
واضحة. ولا رح نعمل جواز سفر مثلا
ايش؟ بطلوها على جوازات السفر. هذا الوقت عادي ولا في دكتور؟ لا برا طلع اول حرب يعني بشهر 11 على الله الله يحفظ بخير سلام ربنا
صورة بس
لا بستمتع بالتوقيع الالكتروني شكيت كمان توقيع لسه بعد 10 ايام المفروض خلص اعدادات تعاطف بعدها بصير له توقيع ان شاء الله ان شاء الله.
الله يعطيكم العافية. مش سامعين يجينا كل مرة زي هيك. Mm. 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 صح. Yeah. معرفش ما شفتش بنات صغار يمكن.